Welcome. I hope you can hear me. I'm Rabbi Cohen, Temple Emmanuel. I appreciate the opportunity to come and teach you for a little bit, to give you a little bit of an introduction to Mussar. So the question is, how many of you have ever heard of or studied Mussar? Okay, all right, so we're about half and half, because what I wanted to do is give a brief introduction to what Mussar is, how it has informed my Jewish living, and then we're going to actually go into a little bit of a text study. So I have texts here, so what I may do is, while I'm framing this, I may have someone hand these out so we don't lose any time, because we'll do some chavruta study in just a few minutes. So it was a few years ago during COVID, and I was so sick of Zoom, as I'm sure all of us have experienced that. And I got an email from the Mussar Institute, and it said, there's this 5 steps to a better you. It's 5 sessions, and I'm thinking, I really don't want to learn any more on Zoom, but I am curious about what Mussar happens to be. And so I took these 5 sessions, and I discovered something really important, and that is that at that point in my life, and it wasn't that long ago, I was thinking about, how do I live Jewishly? How do I observe my Judaism? I don't quite keep kosher. I was driving on Shabbat. I wasn't really keeping Shabbat the way that I may have or should have, holidays, etc., right? And so I'm thinking, so what then makes my life and living Jewishly? What is it making? What is Jewish about it? And so when I discovered Mussar, I realized that while I'm driving in traffic, when someone pulls in front of me, cuts me off. How many of you have ever had that experience where someone's cut you off in traffic? What do? Okay, you slam on the horn, you yell in your car. But there's a very Jewish way of doing that, and that's through Mussar, okay? It is. Because Mussar is all about intentional living. It's about when you are driving your car and you are getting cut off by someone, or you're on the phone. How many of you have ever called Home Depot or someone or another company and had to go through lots of different folks who are trying to get you, who you are trying to get to customer service? How many of you ever had that experience where you've called customer service and you get put on hold, and what happens? You feel your blood starting to boil a little bit, okay? And then they transfer you to someone else, and when you're transferred, you don't really, they don't know what they're doing. They can't find your account number. They don't really know what you're trying to do. They don't know who you're trying to get a hold of. And so you get transferred again. And the more you get transferred, the angrier and angrier you get. And what happens when you finally get to the person that you're supposed to get to? That is absolutely right. And then when you call back, what's going to happen when you finally get a hold of someone before they disconnect you? You say something that will probably lead them to disconnect you. So the Mussar masters are teaching us that it's not just about keeping Shabbat, it's not just about keeping kashrut or the holidays, it's not about wearing kippah or talit or tefillin. It's all about living intentionally. And so I had done this Mussar study, and it was a study on patience. And we were taught that in Mussar, it's not just about studying texts, it's about living these texts, and it's about actually using these texts in the moment in order to stop yourself from doing something that you don't want to do, that you don't want that part of you to come out. How many of you have ever said, I'm just not born with patience? Right? Or if you're with someone who's really super organized, and you say, oh my goodness, if only I were born with these organizational skills. How many of you have ever felt that way? Right? Or let's say you tend to be angrier. at certain moments, and other people are really calm, and you say, gosh, if only I weren't born this way, right? And the Mussar masters teach you and teach us that we all have the same stuff. We all have it. So if you say that, well, I don't have as much patience as that other person, or that person has a lot more anger than I do, or that person is a really forgiving person, I don't know how that person can find forgiveness in their heart. All of these midot, all of these characteristics are equal in all of us. They're equal in all of us. What the rabbis are trying to teach us is how do we balance and how do we find balance in order to be what I called our best and highest selves. Because when you are intentional and you're driving and someone cuts you off, instead of slamming on the horn or yelling in your car, you could think of a teaching. One of the teachings that I was taught, it's kind of like a mantra, is make a space between the match and the fuse. Every single time I was connected from one person to another, from one customer service rep to a manager, to an assistant manager, to a person who had no idea what to do, I kept on saying, make a space between the match and the fuse. Make a space between the match and the fuse. I want to live Jewishly. And me being Jewish happens to be while I'm driving in my car. It happens to be when I'm meeting with someone in my congregation. It happens when I'm walking down the street, having conversations, eating at a restaurant. When the food doesn't come out the right way, what do? We tend to act on impulse. And what we actually do is we put a veil over our lights. So the Mussar masters teach us that we all have this light inside of us. We all have a soul. And that soul is beautiful, and it is pure as anything. Absolutely pure. But what happens is that we have these veils. We have veils that block our light. What are those veils? The midot that we don't use in the right way. So I have this beautiful soul. You have this beautiful soul. And the world needs your light. The world needs your soul. But we have things that get in the way of our souls. And it's no one but ourselves. We get in our own way. How many of you feel that way? That you get in your own way. It's not someone who's doing it to you. We do it to ourselves. So what do we then do Mussar for? What do we do this study? And by the way, Mussar is right now, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's like this new up-and-coming new agey thing, because it's been around for quite a long time, actually for 1,000 years. It was brought back in the 19th century in Eastern Europe. And when we think of the function of Mussar in people's lives, and you look at the context of when this stuff was written, this was when Jews were afraid to be Jewish, when they were being persecuted. And yet, they still wanted to live with the intention that nothing is going to block their soul. Nothing's going to block that light. And it's a very disciplined way of living, because before you say anything, you have to think about what you are about to say and how it's going to find its way out into the world and how it's going to translate to others. So the goal of Mussar is not self-help. So if you're here because you want to help yourself, you're in the wrong place. Because it's working on yourself so that you can add more light to the world. It's selfless work, right? I have a purpose. I have a purpose in life, and what I want to do is I need to be as bright, as soulful, as pure, as good as I can be. And I'm not doing it for my own benefit. I'm doing it for the benefit of other people. I will tell you the story and how it ends when I got to the final person who was on that phone, who took my really frustrated moment because of the mantra that I was sharing. And I talked to her with patience, with kindness. And at the end, she thanked me. She said, I really don't get too many people like you who treat me with understanding and respect. And at that moment, I just wanted to scream out, I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew. This is who we are. This is what we're all about. The fact is that a Hasidic master, Rabbi Chaim Luzzatto, taught that we're created incomplete so that we can complete the work of our own creation. Right? The point of living, folks, is to grow. Right? This world is screwed up. There are things that are so incomplete. But if it wasn't screwed up, if it wasn't incomplete, then we would have no purpose. You would have no purpose. And so your purpose, our purpose, is to make the world complete, and we do it by refining our souls. So the question is, how do we do this? And I said earlier that it's about balance. Midot are characteristics, as folks will translate it, but a midah is a measurement. So it's all about finding that balance. It's finding the middle ground so that you're not all the way on one side or all the way on the other. For instance, we can take the midah of humility, of anava. So what's the opposite of someone who's humble? What's that? Arrogant. Arrogant on one side. And what's the opposite of humility on the other? I can't hear you. So, yes, right? You're a doormat. You're either an arrogant jerk or you're a doormat. But when you're humble, what happens? What is your interaction in the world? I'm definitely not going to finish this thing in time, right? But what is your interaction? Dad, tell me when I'm running out of time, okay? You didn't bring the sand timer, but it would have helped. We have to be done at what time? 8:35. 8:35. All right. Okay. Half hour. We have plenty of time. Plenty of time. When you are humble, when you're living in the middle, what happens? You're interacting with people in a very selfless way. When you're arrogant, who is it about? It's about you. When you're a doormat, who's it about? Everybody else. Nope, it's about you. It's about you. You're putting yourself at the center. It's crazy to think about this, that here, I am the lowest of low, but what happens? I'm making it all about me. If I'm the highest of high and you're nothing, it's still about me. Humility is me having the self-awareness of how I should interact and live in the world so that I can help add light. Because if you're arrogant or if you are a doormat, your veil is blocked. Isn't it? So what gets in the way? We have a Yetzer Hara and a Yetzer HaTov. We have the evil inclination and we have the good inclination. And these two forces are constantly battling one another, constantly. If you are walking down the street and someone is carrying a bag and they're going that direction, you're going that direction, and you see that they're struggling, but oh gosh, they're going in the opposite direction. Do you run to go and help them carry that bag? Maybe if it's someone you know, probably not even that, because you're walking the opposite direction. What happens if you're walking in the same direction and someone's carrying that bag and you see, okay, like they're really trying, so I'm gonna help them because it's convenient for me? The Mussar masters would say that you are selfish. It has to be inconvenient. Self-work and the work on our souls is inconvenient. It's hard. It's hard to think about all of your actions, isn't it?
But you didn't weigh both options. You happen to go in the same direction. You help somebody.
Correct.
Then you're not selfish.
The Mussar masters would say that if it's convenient for you, that's the only reason why you're doing it. It has to be inconvenient. You have to go out of your way. So it's a little extreme, but they were very extreme, okay? But if someone's walking in the other direction and I'm walking this way and I see that they're struggling, if I put my stuff down and I go and help them, even though it's not in the same direction that I'm going into, I'm now no longer living for myself, I'm living for another person. But that is a very, very high level of living and a very high level of intentionality. But the Yetzer Hara is not necessarily a bad thing. It's not saying if you don't go and help that person, you are an awful, awful person. It's just that the Yetzer Hara is saying there are easier ways of doing this. Maybe the easy way is to just be quiet. Maybe the easier way is for us to, to take the easy road. And sometimes, like when we talk about standing up for justice, standing up for human rights, it's a lot easier to just kind of stay on the sidelines, right? But that's not the Jewish way. The rabbis teach a story that the rabbis once captured the Yetzer Hara and confined it in a big pot. And they prepared to kill it, but then noticed all the kingdom. Throughout that kingdom, no one went to work. Even chickens had stopped laying eggs, and they had to let it go. Why? Because the Yetzer Hara is not necessarily evil. It's our desires. And those are the forces that are constantly at odds with one another. And the way and where and how the Yetzer Hara lives in you is the level of balance that you're going to find in the midot. So if I have more frustration or more anger living inside of me, I have to fight the Yetzer Hara a lot harder. Right? There's this beautiful teaching. The students were talking to their Mussar master, and they were saying, "Gosh, if only we could have like the type of Yetzer Hara and Yetzer HaTov that you have, we would be so much better. And if only we can just do the way that you live your life so much easier." And he says, "No, I just have to fight my Yetzer Hara even harder. I have to find that balance even harder." So Mussar is to make the world a better place. It's not for self-perfection alone. We refine ourselves to contribute to the world in the repair of our world. And so what I want to do now is I want to switch to a specific midah, a midah that I have found to be incredibly healing, incredibly inspiring and helpful to me. It's hakarat hatov. We would say that would be gratitude. Gratitude. But the Mussar masters like to play with words a little bit, because when we are doing the prayer of gratitude in our Sidurim, what are we doing? What's it called? It's the hoda'ah, right? To give thanks. Hakarat hatov is a different intention, because it's not about saying thank you. It's about looking for the good, recognizing the good. Mussar tradition emphasizes that gratitude begins not with words, but with awareness. And we often fail to express gratitude because we fail to notice what we have received. You think about that for a minute. Gratitude in the Mussar teaching, the Mussar study, is not about just saying thank you. It's recognizing the good in everything. Now, we can kind of get into a theological debate here with this one, right? Because there's this one teaching that says that, there's a man named Gamzu, Gamzu Litova, right? All of this happens for the right reasons. All of this happens for the same reasons. All of it happens because God wills it to happen, and we're very thankful for all of the things. Right? I have trouble with that type of theology, but I can find good in anything. Mussar teaches that you even need to find good in something that you really dislike. We are living in a time where we really need Mussar. We really need Mussar. My sermon this past Friday night was all about seeing the whole person, not just seeing parts of them. Because when we see parts of that person, especially a person that we don't like, we're not going to see any good that comes out of them. Right? I'm sure that all of you have experienced that, where there's someone who you just don't like because they don't hold the same political views as you. They don't live the same lifestyle as you. They just don't have the same values as you. And what happens? We only see a part of them, and we won't see the good. That is the stretch. That is the stretch that Mussar makes us work towards. Because if I can see the good in you, my light is no longer being blocked by my veil of hatred, of anger, of intolerance. We have a very, very famous teaching. It says, who is rich? From Pirkei Avot. Right? Who is rich? One who rejoices in his own lot. Right? You're rich when you rejoice in what you have. And that's the way to do it. Thinking about how we're going to accept the Torah in just a few hours as we're starting Shavuot. What's the best way for us to start? We start in gratitude, looking for the good, accepting the Torah in all of its beauty and flaws and teachings and contradictions and challenges. We try to see how is it going to help me inform my own life, and how is it going to help the world have more light. One of my favorite teachings, Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Morgenstern, the Kotzker Rabbi, would wrap his shoes. How many of you have ever thrown out a pair of shoes before? What do? Just throw them out. He would wrap his shoes in paper. And before he would place them in a garbage can, he would say, how can I simply toss away such a fine pair of shoes that have served me well for all these years? I think about that for a second. These shoes are the ones that have carried you through so many journeys in your life, and you're just going to throw them away? No. You thank them. Isn't that weird? You thank them. You thank your pair of shoes for carrying. And if we can thank and show our gratitude to our shoes, kal vachomer, all the more so, do we show our gratitude to the people in your lives. So what I want to do is we have a few minutes. I want to hand out these texts. It may take a moment to get around to you. I want you to turn to someone next to you and find a text. And yeah, I'll help you too. So, okay. Here. Perfect. Yeah. So find a text. If you're anything like me, you'll go to the shortest one. We don't have a ton of time, but what I want you to do is I want you to turn to each other, and I want you to do a little bit of text study. You've got some questions at the bottom, some guiding questions. Yes, Shulchan? No. You got skipped. You're in the front row. You get sick. You should be rewarded.
Well, I couldn't find a seat in the back of my place. But
Okay, so I'm going to give you 1 more minute. 1 minute to finish up your conversations. Okay, so we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. I'm very mindful of the time here, and I have no idea how far I can wander with people at home watching me. But I do want to hear from you. So tell me, what is something that jumped out at you? Something that you want to share? Go ahead, Bob.
Well, there's a few of us that come here for the morning meeting almost every day. And what we've done, if you come for more than a couple weeks, you are part of a community. And there's the outreach, and when somebody has good simcha, we all appreciate it. When something happens, somebody passes away or somebody gets sick, we all feel bad for that person. And that's our way of getting it out. And I think because for those of you that don't know what a morning minion is, daily prayer service that we have here, and we have between 25, this time of year, we have between 25 and 35 people every single day.
Yeah.
And there's the old axiom, if you feed them, they will come, and we feed them.
Thanks.
So I think our morning minion, at least part of the passage that I read here,
Yes.
signifies that, for sure.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share something? Yeah, go ahead.
We talked about the second option, and once we got past the Amazon driver that leaves the package, so it's there in the morning when you wake up. We talked about the morning news and how everything gets ready, and they get there at 3 in the morning, and when I wake up at 6:15, I can find out what's on for the day and everything, and just the lack of appreciation we probably showed to these poor people that drive into town and get everything ready for us, so we wake up and we have a good day.
Yeah. Yeah, we take that for granted. Go ahead.
I just want to say that when I was talking to Catherine here, I talked about the morning meeting.
Yeah.
And my experience after my husband died,
Mhm.
and my rock accept gratitude on it alone. That's what I shared. Yeah. Who's been to the morning minion here? It's amazing.
Okay.
Did you raise your hand, Matt?
I did raise my hand. I did. That's Rabbi. I'm just kidding. He's my neighbor. Yeah, I mean, look, like something very, very near and dear to my heart is this minion, not for my own sake, but for my dad. When my late stepmother, Cohen, passed away, this minion carried my father, and I made it clear every time I've been able to get on a microphone here to thank this minion for being there for my dad. When I came here for the funeral, and I didn't know any of these people, and I didn't know that I was coming to Cleveland yet to be a rabbi. She never got to hear the news that I got the job. But when I was at the Shiva, and you have all of these people, and my dad said, "This one's from Minyan, this one's from Minyan," I'm like, this is an amazing thing. This is what Judaism and Jewish living is all about. So it's well earned the right to share about the Minyan. So thank you. Any other thoughts? Not related to the B'nai Yashar and Minyan. Maybe how great Temple Emanu is. No, just kidding. Someone talking, huh? Or their rabbi. I don't know about their rabbi, but the people are fantastic. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll share on behalf of my shepherd that we were looking at the last two sources, and we were talking about this force of giving, the power of not assuming you have ownership over the things in front of you. That the things you have received are a gift. They're not really yours. And then you're very willing to pass them on because you don't own them.
Right.
They were just something you were gifted.
Yeah, and we're reminded that many, many times throughout our wandering in the desert, that when you get to the land, this isn't for your own sake, and none of this belongs to you, right? So if we look at it as none of this belongs to us, then we'd be much more willing to give it and to appreciate it. So in the couple of minutes we have left, I want to kind of give you so here's kind of a practical thing for you to do, right? Because I don't want you to just go out and say, oh, that was interesting, and now I'm going to go on to the next one. Mussar is not just about text study. It's about taking the text study and really applying it and living it intentionally. So through the Mussar lens, the rabbis do multiple things. One is is pausing and saying a mantra. So if you were to think of anything Jewish in gratitude, what would come to your mind immediately when you're thinking of how do I recognize the good in my life, in your life? Moda ani lefanecha, right? When we wake up in the morning, we say, Moda ani lefanecha melachai v'kayam. It's at the bottom of your handouts, right? How grateful am I to you, God, that you have restored my soul in trust. Think about that. You every day have an opportunity to shine your light, and the beginning of your day, you are thanking God for that opportunity to shine that light. And that, to me, is a very powerful way to start my day, and I've been doing that for quite a while now. But the Mussar masters want you to go even further. They want you to go and they want you to thank someone specifically for something that you received from them. So think about the power of that, is going to someone and thanking them, turning to them and showing your gratitude. Because if you live a life of gratitude, you're recognizing that all of the stuff that you get from someone else is out of the goodness of their hearts. So with that, we still have another couple minutes. So are there any questions? I know that I'm really trying to breeze through this as quickly as possible. So, in a typical Mussar class, we wouldn't go this fast, and we would spend a lot more time doing some mindful meditation. But maybe what we can do in the spirit of Mussar is I just want you to look at the Moda Ani at the bottom of your page. And instead of rushing out of here in our haste to get to the next place, let's just take some quiet moments. Look at those prayers, look at that prayer, and think about where are you going to find your hakarat hatov? Where are you going to find that gratitude? And how is that gratitude going to allow you to shine your light brighter? And even more so, showing your gratitude will help someone shine their lights. So take a few moments, think about that. My Mussar teacher taught me, we're not trying to become good. We're trying to let our inner goodness shine through. And so as we receive the Torah and we go into this Chag, let our inner goodness shine through and add the light to this world of our souls that it so desperately needs. So Chag Sameach, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your night.